So we are continuing the British wrestling train here. We are keeping this train going. Thank you for everyone who watches my Brit Wres videos, my Rev Pro review, my TNT reviews, my Progress reviews, and my Burning Heart Pro Wrestling reviews, because I love talking about this stuff. So shall we just dive into another damn good show? Hello and welcome to FTTR, I'm Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Burning Heart Pro Wrestling in Manchester. That's right, their latest show took place last night, and I was fortunate enough to be there at the O2 Academy. Is it an O2 Academy? I think it's just an Academy. I think it's just Academy 2, I don't know where the O2 came from there. At the Academy 2, I was fortunate enough to be there live. 6 matches, very lean, precise, succinct card, and I have some thoughts on this show. Before we dive into that, please subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. So, I have recorded a different video today, one before, so I've already had to edit this quite a lot if you're watching this, because I am losing the capacity to talk. I also have no notes here. I took no notes during the show. Who takes notes during the show when you're there live? I don't do that, so all this is coming off my big noggin. And yeah, Burning Heart in Manchester, 6 matches. It was a breeze. It was a breeze. It was such a fun show. Some really, really damn good matches on here. The opening match. I love the second match. I love the main event. 6 matches done right. There was no wasted time, and everything got their time. It was all really well structured, really enjoyable. Little bits of story progression here and there. And I'm excited to see where Burning Hearts goes from here, because they've set up a few interesting things that I'd like to see going forward with the promotion. So this is going to be my full play-by-play review, every match, every angle, everything that happened, starting with the first match, which was Lycos Gym taking on The Rapture, Jay Sky and Richard Adonis. So I'm going to be honest, never heard of The Rapture before. Never in my life heard of The Rapture until they were announced for this show. And you know what? I'm a fan. I am a big fan of The Rapture coming out of this. They went out there with Lycos Gym and they put on a killer match. This was fast-paced, hard-hitting, it told a great story. There was so much to love about this match, and the way the competitors worked well together, it just kept going and going and going. It was a pretty long match. I think we probably went about 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, something in that ballpark, and they got a lot of stuff in. It was so fast-paced. The guys from The Rapture, my god, they have like insane speed for the size that they are. They are pretty big guys, and they are just hitting like topes. They're working well together. They're hitting dives when Adonis and Sky are teaming up together. They're just working so well together. And you team them with Lycos Gym, who are incredibly well put together. You know, they've worked as a team for God knows how long. It's like, what, probably like 10 years, something like that they've been together. Lycos 2 was just outstanding here. I really love Lycos 2. He went on an absolute tear when he got a hot tag, and the story of this match was sort of working over Kid Lycos. The Rapture would isolate him, they'd work over him. Lycos 2 got a hot tag, and I like that. It was a simple story, but it was really well executed. You got some really great sequences of tag team moves between the Rapture where they were just like pummeling the poor Lycos boys, hitting insanely cool strikes, insanely cool grapples, but it was Lycos Gym who picked up the win here. I think this is the right decision, especially for what happened in the next match, because that sets up a very big match, because it was announced at the end about the #1 contendership for the Burning Heart tag team titles. So it looks like we're going to get Lycos Gym versus the GYV at some point in Burning Heart. I'm very excited for that. That is I don't know if they've had a match yet that I can remember. I'd have to look that up and find that out. If they have, it'll be above my face. But yeah, I just want to put over how cool that match was and how cool the Rapture are. I hope the Rapture come back, because my god, they were sensational, absolutely sensational. Put them in the ring with Lycos Gym again for the Progress Wrestling tag team titles. That is something I'd like to see. I think they could easily go into any British wrestling tag team scene and bolster it out, because they're unbelievable. They were so good. I was so impressed by the Rapture. And yeah, new tag team contenders, Lycos Gym versus GYV. Let's see where that goes. The next match that we got was Kenny Williams taking on one member of the Grizzled Young Veterans, and that was Zach Gibson. I really, really enjoyed this match. I thought this match was super cool, and I really like the story that they told here. It was very fast-paced. Kenny Williams immediately goes for Zach Gibson on the outside. They're brawling around. Kenny Williams is just such a good guy at getting reactions from people. He was just getting great reactions from the crowd. And then Zach Gibson gets in the ring. He starts wailing on Kenny Williams. He hits a dropkick from the second rope, and that is when he kind of tweaks his knee, and you could tell that he was kind of selling that knee. He was selling the leg. Kenny Williams pounces on it. He locks it in the ropes, starts hitting it while it's in the ropes, locks it around the turnbuckle, and he starts working over that knee. Meanwhile, Zach Gibson is working over the arm because he's trying to lock in the Shankly gates on Kenny Williams. It was a simple wrestling story, but I thought they told it really, really well, and I really liked the ending because it sort of came out of nowhere. You had both men in the ring. It looks like Zach Gibson might get the win because he's almost locking in the Shankly gates, but then who should come out but Lycos Jim, the winners of the previous match, the number one contenders for the Burning Heart Tag Team titles. They came out, distracted Zach Gibson, managed to give Kenny Williams the win. Kenny Williams picks up the victory, and yeah, Zach Gibson's pissed. Seemingly getting this tag team match sooner rather than later. I'm very excited to see this happen. I think this is going to be a great tag team match, and I hope they do more angles like this, because I think the only thing that was sort of missing from this show was maybe a few more angles, particularly sort of after the main event. I would have liked to have known who maybe Haskins, spoiler alert, Mark Haskins will be facing. Here, the angle worked really well, and I was a big fan of it. Kenny Williams, I think, potentially could be the next challenger for Mark Haskins. He's got a win under his belt now. I think that'd be a really cool match, really interesting match. The fans are behind Haskins, so that's a really good one to do as well. Yeah, I loved it. I thought this was a great singles match, a really terrific match that told an excellent story. Next up, I want to give props to ring announcer Jade Wolford, who did a great job, ring announcing the entire show. And following this match, we had her got a really great, impassioned speech about the women in the industry, about the women who have helped shape the show, helped shape Burning Heart. Danny Luna, Lizzie Evo. You've got so many great talent there who have, created Burning Heart, and I think it's very important, particularly on a day like today, after what's just happened, in the biggest company in the world. I think it's very important to highlight that, and I think it's cool that they're getting their spotlight, and that led us into the next match, which was Aaliyah James taking on Isla Dawn, two terrific wrestlers, and they put on a really, really enjoyable match. I liked the dynamic of this because I really thought that Isla Dawn, being that she was making her return to the UK to do this show, I really thought she was going to get cheered. But Aaliyah James, man, the crowd got behind her. We all got behind her in the academy. And she was just like getting beaten down at points by Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn's jacking with the crowd. And yeah, people really weren't on board with Isla Dawn. She was a bad guy, and I thought that worked really well for her character. Shout out to Isla Dawn's ring gear as well, which looked insanely cool. But it was really well put together, the way that she would just beat down Aaliyah James, keep beating her down. There was a lot of sort of heat spots in here to sort of get the crowd behind Aaliyah James, and I didn't think that would be the case. I thought everyone would be behind Isla Dawn, but they proved me wrong. You got some great hope spots in there with Aaliyah James hitting some really cool kicks. She did some really cool kicks to Isla Dawn here, but ultimately the beatdown was just too much, and Isla Dawn picked up the win. She hit I think it's like almost like a fireman's carry driver. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a big sit-out driver that put away Aaliyah James, and yeah, that solidified it. Isla Dawn here in Burning Heart. There's some great matches you can have. Isla Dawn versus Danny Luna. That'd be class. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it told a really interesting story with the dynamic that they had and the way they flipped the dynamic from what I was expecting. Big thumbs up. Really enjoyable. The next match we got was a tag team match. The Models, Danny Hope and Joey Hayes, took on Better Together, Haydar Horvitz, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Ori Gold. This again, really fun. I think Burning Hearts can do no wrong with their tag team matches. All their tag matches have been absolutely class. They're bringing in new people that you may not have seen before, because again, I'm not very familiar with Better Together. I'm not particularly familiar with the Models since I saw them last at the Burning Heart Weekender. That was my first introduction to the Models, and I think they are a really cool act. But Better Together as well, they were really, really cool. They were right, like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but they were little pricks. They were little pricks who were like getting riled up by what the Models were doing. And I thought that dynamic that they played out in the match worked really well. The Models were hitting all their stuff. They were doing the struts. Their entrance music wasn't working. Hashtag sack the DJ. But it came together really well. They were dominating at the beginning. The Models were just absolutely tearing through Better Together, and Better Together had to go to the outside to sort of regroup. And then maybe it was a little bit of arrogance on the part of the Models, but Better Together did get the upper hand. They managed to isolate Danny Hope a little bit. Danny Hope also got a hot tag earlier, which was really, really good. And ultimately, the Models triumphed. They picked up the win. There was a great sequence towards the end where they were sort of trading super kicks and hitting these sort of, they got a big double down spot as well, which was really, really good. And yeah, the Models picked up the win. I think that is such a great tag division that you've got there. You've got the Models, GYV, Lycos Gym. If you bring in more teams, if you keep people like the Rapture and Better Together there, you've got such a stacked tag team division. And I almost think that, like, you know, the tag titles, I'd love to see the tag titles be treated sort of as the same level as the world title, and I think they are in some respect being treated that way. You know, I think that there is a great I think there's a great appetite for fantastic tag team wrestling that I think Burning Heart, that is almost their niche. Like, they can put on banger tag team matches, and they always do. And yeah, making the sort of the tag titles a real focal point, I'm a big fan of that. And great tag match overall. The Models versus Better Together, I was a big fan of it. Speaking of a niche that Burning Heart does really damn well, let's talk about this 6-person scramble for the Future Shock Championship. Yes, that was a joke if you were there about what Holly Barlow said, because that got an insane reaction from the crowd. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but that played really, really well. Congratulations on the Eve Tag Team title win as well. Lally forever. Unfortunately, Holly Barlow cannot compete in this match, and this match was a 6-way scramble for the Fighting Spirit Championship. That is an academy that the GYV have over in Florida, I think they said, and it is a big 6-person scramble match with up-and-coming talent. I think these scramble matches are genius. They are so perfect to get you introduced to new people and new wrestlers that you might not have seen before, maybe that you want to follow. So the full rundown of this match was Tom Thelwell, Blake Banks, Critchy, Joe Kessler, Landon Riley and Rob Drake all vying for the Fighting Spirit Championship. This match was so fun. I was familiar with, I think, everyone except Landon Riley and Blake Banks. I was familiar with all of them. I'm a big fan of all of them. They had some really cool moments in here, but I've got to say, Blake Banks, that guy is an absolute star. His future is insanely bright because he has everything. He has a great personality, a great gimmick, a great moveset. He's great on the mic. He got a great promo beforehand with Critchy. He's got a great character. He's got absolutely everything. And this match made me a fan of Blake Banks. Like, he was just next level good. He was so good. Everyone in this match is great, but Blake Banks for me was a standout here. You got some great moments in the match as well, some great spots. Blake Banks took this insane Oscar from Landon Riley. Landon Riley hit a moonsault to the outside. Tom Thelwell was getting in there and trading strikes. Then when you had the big hosses, Joe Kessler and Rob Drake going after one another, there was just like everything going on here. You had Critchy, you know, trying to steal some wins. Critchy took such a good promo before the match as well. You had almost all the different dynamics in here. Big guys, high flying guys, chicken shit heels, everything in this match, and it all worked together seamlessly well, leading to Blake Banks picking up the win and becoming the new Fighting Spirit champion. I loved it. I absolutely loved this match. I thought it was so fun, and like I said, the 6-man scrambles that Burning Hearts do are incredible. They are such a clever, fun, energetic way to get new and up-and-coming stars and wrestlers on the show and make new fans, I think it's a perfect idea. I think I've loved pretty much all of the scrambles that I've seen from Burning Hearts, and there's been quite a few. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It might have been my match of the night. It's tough. It's tough between this, the main event, and the opener, which was my match of the night. But yeah, they were all solid, and I think they've all got bright futures ahead of them. So yeah, let's go. Let's go 6-way scrambles. And then for the Burning Heart World Championship, Mark Haskins defends against Wild Boar. This match was class. Like I said, if you saw my reaction on YouTube Shorts, they had a parameter here because Burning Hearts isn't necessarily a deathmatch promotion. They don't do death matches, but having a no DQ stip means you can expect some level of violence here, but not to that extent. I thought they played with the stipulation really, really well and managed to get some really cool, really gnarly looking stuff in without it being necessarily gratuitous or too extreme for younger fans. I thought they did such a good job putting this match together. It started off incredibly hot because when they're doing the championship, bit where they're holding up the title, doing the announcing and everything like that, and Wild Boar just pulls the title down and immediately goes for Haskins. Then they start brawling on the outside. They're brawling around the bar. They're brawling to the back. They brawled right down the back, and Mark Haskins just comes with a door. Cool, I guess. Door goes in the ring. Then there's a bit on the outside where he's setting Wild Boar up on a chair, goes to hit him with a running Pele kick. The chair falls down, unfortunate, but he does still hit the kick eventually. More chairs are introduced, and it just became carnage upon carnage upon carnage. I think probably the coolest moment in the match, one that really I was like, okay, this is getting serious, was this really cool bit where Wild Boar gets a kendo stick from the outside. Mark Haskins is in the ring, and it looks like he's going to hit him with the kendo stick, but he sort of puts it down, and you're like, oh, what's he doing here? And then he just rips the shirt off Mark Haskins and just wails on him with these kendo stick shots. Then when it was a different turn, you had this really cool bit where it looks like Wild Boar's going to use the title, but Vic Haskins, she gets the belt, she's fighting with Wild Boar, and she locks in like a triangle choke on Wild Boar, pulls him down, and then Mark Haskins starts wailing on him with a kendo stick. That was cool. That was so it was just so, I was going to say fucking cool. It is so fucking cool. It was really cool, and I really appreciated how Vic Haskins was integrated into this match as well, because it was a difficult dynamic to do because there's no real bad guys here. You would have thought Mark Haskins would be the bad guy because he's kind of got Vic helping him on the outside, but no, it was pretty split. I think it was 50-50 on who they wanted to win, and you had a really great sequence towards the end where Wild Boar goes for the dive, he gets planted right through the door that's leaning up, and it made a sick cracking sound. Mark Haskins picks up the win. He picks up the win, and yeah, what a fun, entertaining match. We didn't get a new contender. That was probably my only downside of this. I would like to have known who Haskins was going to face next, but that capped off the show. 6 matches, lean, to the point. I loved it. I thought it was such a fun show. Really, really happy I went by myself. So anyone who's feeling self-conscious about going to wrestling shows, you can go by yourself and have a good time. Don't feel like you can't. And yeah, overall I give this probably 4.25. I give it 4.25 out of 5. I would like to see, I don't know, I feel like I'd just like to see some more sort of angles pay off here. I think that's my only criticism about the show, because I thought the wrestling was absolutely terrific. Maybe a few more angles just to sort of set the stage of where we're going next with whatever the next show is announced, whether it be Manchester or Liverpool. Yeah, that wrapped up the show. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.